My name is Cady Ruth Stoever, and I am the National American Miss 2020 to 2021, and today we're going to be talking about preparing for your state competition. So I know I'm a Miss, and I know this year we have a lot of Miss competitors in different states in actual state competitions, but I haven't competed as a Miss in a state pageant. So I just wanted to preface that, but I've been a competitor with NAM since 2012. I've been doing this for a hot minute. I'm 22 years old, so 10 years now, which feels really crazy, but I just wanted to let you all know that I personally haven't been on the state stage in quite a minute, but that's okay because all of these tips and advice I'm going to be giving are relevant to no matter your age group, probably for the older girls, but for the younger girls as well. If this is a parent watching, this could be helpful for you too. So I wanted to first start by answering some questions that I got throughout Instagram because I asked a bunch and people asked questions. I said, let me know if you have any questions about pretty much anything at all when it comes to preparing for states or even nationals, because there are some girls that are going straight to the All-American division and not going through their state pageant. Details and everything like that can be found at www.namiss.com because I don't have all the answers and I don't want to give any misinformation. So you can check out that information there. So let's first start with, how do you write a good personal introduction? This is a great question because I struggle with this a lot because I am a writer. I studied public relations in college, so writing is my passion, and I get very nitpicky with my writing, which makes writing a personal introduction hard. It's going to be shorter at states than it is at nationals. At nationals, it's a minute, and at states, it's 30 seconds. So that makes writing about your life a little bit difficult because you're trying to combine everything that you're involved in 30 seconds. And let me just tell you, you're not going to say everything about yourself in 30 seconds. Just hate to admit it. But the benefit of having that personal interview and the personal introduction combines all of your interests. So you're going to be talking about all of them in one form or another. But for a personal introduction, my key recommendation is try and make it like a story. You're going to be talking about things that you care about. Your life is not linear. There's going to be bumps in the road. There's going to be plots, different characters you want to talk about. I try and think about it more as a story than writing like a news anchor type of story, if that makes sense. So my personal introduction, my platform is literacy awareness, and so I kind of phrased my personal introduction like it was a book, talking about being your own author and you're the writer of your destiny, and you kind of have to follow along with whatever path you want to take. So really, when it comes to writing a good personal introduction, put in the things that you care about and that really matter, and don't be shy to brag. That's something that I have a hard time doing. I have a very difficult time bragging about my accomplishments because I just was raised to be very kind of introverted and not brag about what you've been given, because it's not your gift, it's God's gift. But it's important to talk about the things that matter to you, and if you are the CEO of your own company, if you're the leader of an organization, if you started your own nonprofit, talk about it, because that is a huge deal, because not many people do that. So always try and search for those key factors that make you stand out and that kind of brag about what you've been doing. It's not bragging, it's just being humble about what you've been granted or what you've worked hard for. So that is all how to write a good personal introduction. I hope that helps. How to stand out. Like I just said, you definitely have something about yourself that is unique and different than the person standing next to you. We were all uniquely and beautifully made and created in our own wonderful version of ourselves. So you have different qualities about yourself than the girl next to you. Even if you have the same dress on, even if you have the same color hair, if you're the same height, none of it matters, because you are different than the person next to you. How? Well, you have to talk about how. It's not going to be evident just from looking at you that you are different. So share. What I'd like to talk about in my interviews is my work, that I've been an advocate for literacy for 10 years, and I've donated over 10,000 books that's a huge accomplishment, and I brag about it a little bit because it's a big deal. And if you have done something, if you are, going to Harvard, if you're a 4.0 student and you want to encourage other students to be involved in higher education, taking that off of someone I know, but talk about that. That's a big deal. And even if you're younger, so those were all kind of examples for maybe my Miss Girls. If you're a preteen, talk about starting a book club. That's what I talked about in the beginning, starting a book club at school, encouraging your peers to find their love for reading again by sharing books within the classroom. Try and find creative ways to make it almost impossible for those judges to miss out on what you have to offer, because you're going to have to push to talk about it, because they're not going to have enough time in your interview to sit down and really read your resume, to look through every little detail. They're going to want to just kind of get to know you and get a feel for your personality. So talk about as much as you can when it comes to the things that matter to you. For me, that was always talking about my platform. For someone else, it might be talking about self-confidence and self-worth, or maybe it has to do with the growth that you've developed over the past year. Whatever it may be for you, talk about it. Make it your thing, because again, that one thing that's going to differentiate you from the girl standing next to you is what you want to talk about. So that's a suggestion for how to stand out. How do you memorize your personal intro? This I love because I feel like a crazy person when I'm memorizing my personal intro. I write it down on a sticky note every morning and every night, and I put it on my mirror in my bathroom, and I put it on this little bulletin board I have right by my desk. So I'm not only writing it down twice a day, I'm putting it somewhere where I have to look at it all the time. And then I listen to a voice recording of myself saying it pretty much every time I listen to music. If I get kind of bored with the songs, you hear the same playlist 4 times over, listen to your personal intro. The key for states is making sure that you have that personal intro memorized far before you need to. That way when you get there, you can just enjoy the weekend, enjoy the experience, and make new friends. And you won't have to stress, oh my gosh, am I going to remember my personal intro? Because you know it like the back of your hand. So, and also have people challenge you, say they give you the first half of one of the sentences of your personal intro, they want you to finish it. It's kind of just a fun way to make it like a game for yourself, almost make it like a challenge. How many times can you get it correct in one sitting? Next question. What questions were you asked at nationals, if you remember any? I genuinely do not remember 90% of the questions I was asked at nationals. That's just, I am that way. I kind of have a momentary lapse in vision and memory when I go into an interview room. I come out, someone will ask me, oh, what questions were you asked? No idea. I couldn't tell you. I know they went well, or I'll start to remember bits and pieces throughout the day, but I remember very distinctly the first question I was asked and the last question I was asked. So the first question was, what book are you reading right now? Hello, that's right up my alley. That was perfect for me because I'm always reading a book. And then the last question I was asked was, what kind of impact do you want to make with this year? And that was the big home hitter because, you're ending off the interview, you're making an impact. What do you want to leave them with? And my message is going to be different than someone else's, and I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth. So please don't take this as Cady saying this, not necessarily what you should say, because just because I said it doesn't mean that you'll win saying what I said. So with the impact, what I said is I want to make a difference for the ages of girls 19 to 24. I feel like the Miss Division specifically can have such an impact in our country, and girls can really see and feel the effects of being a leader and a mentor and a role model in this position, and I want to turn it into a job and not just another role in a pageant. And something along those lines. It was something about making an impact with girls my age, because so often when you get older, you're expected to know what to talk about or how you're supposed to be or where you're supposed to be going, and sometimes I don't know where I'm going with my life. Sometimes it's just kind of a ebb and flow as the year goes on, and it progresses and it gets better, it's never a scary thing, but it's important to talk about it. It's important to say, I'm representing this age group, not women in their 30s or teens. So that was important for me to talk about, I felt, and that was the message I'm pretty sure I ended off with. Again, don't necessarily take what I say word for word, but I did talk about the impact in my age range. I remember that very distinctly. What should I wear to check-in? Love this question, because check-in is kind of a confusing wardrobe situation. Some girls wear super formal interview dresses, some girls wear like a cute romper or like a short end blouse set. It really is personal preference. There is just something that you're going to be comfortable in, but I always recommend you try and do something that's going to be professional. So if you're going to wear, a romper, make sure that it is more high coverage, that it's not anything too skinny strapped. Make sure that it's appropriate for your age range, and knowing that is key. And in the national and state guidebook that they give you throughout preparing for your time to go to states and nationals, you'll see examples. And always look to the younger girls' Instagrams or my Instagram if you have any questions about wardrobe. Just kind of look and see what girls in previous years have worn, and that does help a lot. That's how I found a lot of my inspiration for nationals, for picking my wardrobe throughout the week, because nationals wardrobe is a whole other thing, and I can make a video about that too, because let me tell you, there is no system like NAM that prepares you for outfits like this. I mean, there are a lot of outfits and they're all super cute, but it is a lot of preparation. And if you understand, you get it, and if you don't, I hope you will. But that was all the questions I was asked. I see I'm at like 2.5 minutes. I wanted to just quickly talk about just some of the basics in preparing for states that is really important to remember. And it is that you're there not only to represent your state, but represent your community. So I always loved, when I was preparing to go to state, to go into, I worked at a local business. I would go and talk to my local employer and talk to them about what they want to see made different in the community and in our state, and talk to the people who are in your community, in your age group, people who can connect to your platform or the cause that you care about, because they're going to give you ideas that maybe you hadn't thought of. When you're preparing for state, you're not preparing to represent the country, you're preparing to represent your state. So when I was preparing to be Miss New York, and I was applying to be Miss New York, I was talking about the impact in Monroe County where I lived at the time, and I was talking about the impact I've had there and the impact I want to have in the rest of the state of New York, because New York is a big state and there's a lot of different factors in education that I had to take into account. And I wouldn't have known that if I hadn't talked to people from New York City and from Brooklyn, Manhattan, and Buffalo, all these different places that you're going to be representing if you are the state title holder. So just keep that in mind when you're preparing for state. Really talk to the people who you're going to learn the most from, because while it is a pageant, it is also a job. You're really representing yourself and your state at the national pageant, which is the next big step. So that was really all the notes I had and all the questions I was asked. I wanted to say thank you so much for watching. I love making these, and I hope this was a little bit of help to anyone who had any questions. And as always, please stay safe, stay healthy, and if you have any requests for videos upcoming, let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much, guys.